number one, you want to hit a high sort of soft cut, sort of center right, and have it just, let that hill, that sort of valley, that hill, stop it center right. And you don't dare take on those left pins. I mean, you certainly don't with a 6-iron. Maybe you do with a short iron, but I never did get a short iron into number one, really. But, every single hole location, if the pin's back right on 10, you miss it in the left bunker. On 2. If it's back right on 2, you miss it in the left bunker. If it's back left on 2, you blow it right, unless you can get there in 2, obviously. There's just all these sorts of nuances about every single hole location. So I felt like when I played there that I knew the golf course inside and out. I shot 69 in the first round, look, it sounds crazy to say this, but it didn't feel that special to me. It didn't feel that spectacular to me. I just played a good, solid round of golf because I had no doubt about what shot to play or where to hit it or, what the best angle was. And so since then, as I've gone into TV, I go back and I look at, basically I chart every single shot that's hit on TV, and then I follow those shots to their nth degree. I look at the history of every player, how often they hit similar shots. Do they hit it high? Do they hit it low? Do they have a lot of spin? Do they not have a lot of spin? What shot shape do they have? And then I have all these spreadsheets, and I break it down for every single player so that, when I start talking about a specific player, rather than say, he's got a great chance to win the Masters, I can say specifically why he has a great chance and specifically why he doesn't have a great chance. There's a whole lot more work that goes into knowing everything you need to know about every single player than there is to play the golf course. I can tell you that.
You talk a lot about, and I think it's well known that a lot of the guys who've had success at Augusta can hit the ball high. A lot of guys over the years who hit it low don't. But the game's changed a lot these days, and a lot of guys hit it so long, but maybe don't shape it both ways as well. At this point of the game, Brandel, has the shorter hitter, a shorter hitter who can shape the ball, does he have a chance at the Masters anymore? Or guys who can just cut all these corners now, truly always the favorites?
Yeah, the conditions, when they differ from the norm, so to speak, then they, depending upon the conditions, they allow players that otherwise wouldn't contend there to play well there. What comes to mind is Mike Weir winning in 2003.
Sure.
And Zach Johnson winning there in 2007. You wouldn't have thought that Mike Weir was long enough or versatile enough, even though he was a hell of a player at that point in his career and having a hell of a year in 2003. You just wouldn't have thought that it would have played into his hands. Same thing with Zach Johnson. He hit the ball too low, too flat a swing, too strong a grip, those kinds of things. But the golf course played really, really hard in 2007, and it played really, really slow and wet and soggy in 2003. So with the forecast for next week, it's supposed to rain every single day.
Right.
You do start to look at, some shorter hitters and think, well, maybe they've got, you start to look at a player like a Kevin Kisner and think, okay, maybe his flat ball flight will have a chance. But otherwise, you pretty much, you look at the top 15 players in the world. That's where the winner comes from, almost, without hesitation. Over the last 5 or 6 years, it's a player that's ranked in the top 15 in the world. It's a player who's on great form, that they're on their way up, not on their way down, and is in complete control of their game. And you're right. Because of the nature of the golf course, it's more often than not, it's a player who hits the ball high. It's a player who hits the ball, it drives the ball great. People will love to say that you don't have to drive the ball that well to win at Augusta National, but that's nothing could be further from the truth. 5 of the last 6 years, the winner there has led strokes gained off the tee going into the Masters. So,
there you go.
You absolutely need to be in the right spot to have a shot at putting yourself in the right place to have the right putt at Augusta National, and errors are compounded.
I said back in December that this is going to be the greatest golf season in history. And for that to happen,
good call.
We probably, thank you. And for that to happen, we probably need to have the greatest Masters ever. And now Matt challenged me last night. Greatest Masters ever. You could make an argument. How do I define that? Let's just say most exciting, right? You've got the old generation versus new generation, everything we've wanted to see for the last probably 4 years. Number one, do you agree that this could be the greatest, most exciting Masters ever? And then if your answer is yes, could you give us your Sunday scenario, whether that's your final pairing, guys firing up the leaderboard? What do you see as needing to happen to make that the most exciting Masters in history?
Yeah, I do agree that this could be, it's got a chance to be the greatest Masters ever. And that's a tough battle. That's, 1975, I think I said last week on the air that, the last time we had players at different stages of their career, superstars at different stages of their career who were all playing well, was 1975. You had an up-and-coming Johnny Miller and a sort of an established Tom Weiskopf, and the middle-aged, aging greatest player ever, Jack Nicklaus, and it culminated in what some people call the greatest Masters ever. But the Masters, again, it brings the best out and the best players. You don't even have to go back that far. You go to 2001, and on that Sunday, Tiger Woods was going for his fourth major in a row. He was paired with Phil Mickelson. And in the group in front of him was David Duval and Ernie Els. And on the back nine, all of them had a chance. And they were all tied. I think David, Phil, and Tiger were all tied through 15 holes, something like that. So the Masters gives us these fabulous scenarios. But, I think for it to be the greatest Masters ever, to have a chance, Tiger and Phil have to be probably paired together, but they have to be neck and neck. For sure. And Rory's got to be in the mix. And, if you've got those three,
sure,
then you've pretty much got everything you need. But beyond that, it would be great to have, a Jordan Spieth and a Dustin Johnson and a Justin Thomas. If the leaderboard's got those 6 or 7 names on it, it's top shelf stuff. That's what we're in store for here. I can't imagine any scenario where, 3 or 4 of those names are not factoring into the tournament on Sunday. It's just the way that place plays. And then, I haven't even mentioned the John Rahms and Justin Roses, and the Sergio Garcia, who's still playing fabulous. I haven't even talked about those players. So, you start to consider those. And again, it is almost every single year, it's the top 15 players in the world that are battling it out there. Of course, that might be a little different with Tiger Woods being, ranked outside the top 100. But and I haven't even talked about Bubba Watson.
He's on fire.
So I agree. This has the potential to be, one of the greatest years in the history of golf, because that's the kind of interest that Tiger Woods brings to the game, first of all. But the fact that, it's late in his career and Phil is, sort of in a cage fight with Father Time. And right now, he's doing his best Conor McGregor imitation. I think that's what we're in store for. And that's why the golf world and the sporting world is so excited.
Well, Brandel, just hearing you go through those scenarios, I'm literally about to throw David Duval in Rays Creek. I can barely contain myself.
Okay,
David Duval's got a tough streak in him. You better.
I'm ready.
I caution you against that. You better get a running start.
I'm ready. Double D, I'm ready. All right.
You've really articulated. Augusta brings in a lot of players, and it's going to be a very exciting tournament. But if we want to run down a few players with you, and we're simply going to ask you if you think they're a contender or a pretender for this year. That doesn't mean they're a pretender generally, but if you've got to really kind of narrow down some of your picks a little bit, based on these guys we want to hear. So I'm going to read off a name of a player, and you're going to say contender or you're going to say pretender. All right, Tiger Woods.
Contender, absolutely. He needs to come there driving the golf ball better. That's the one part of his game that, is not back and he's still struggling with. But every other facet of his game, he's never pitched the ball better. He has done his best to make me eat my words, saying that he had the yips chipping. Certainly looked like the yips to me, but it couldn't look further from the yips. He's in the statistic that measures how close you hit your chip shots. There's only one player on the PGA Tour, Matthew Fitzpatrick, who's chipping the ball closer to the hole on average than Tiger Woods. So he's gone from, and even at his best, right, when he was dominating the tour, people would say he had the greatest short game, and that just wasn't true. He was good, but he was not a great pitcher of the golf ball.
Sure.
The situation in the moment made his pitching seem better, and his putting made his pitching seem better. But he's never, ever pitched the golf ball better than he's pitched it right now. So he's an absolute contender. He could win.
Justin Rose.
He's probably my favorite.
Sure.
He's got every single thing he needs to play well there. He's never putted better. I don't even know who this Justin Rose is. I've always looked at him and thought, it's a good thing. People say you have to putt great at Augusta National. You have to hit your irons great at Augusta National. And depending upon how well you hit your irons, you have a putt that is almost un-two-puttable to a putt that is very makeable. All 20 footers at Augusta National are not created equal. You just have to hit your irons great. And then, of course, you have to be, a decent putter. Nobody's going to call Sergio Garcia a great putter ever. Nobody's ever going to call Bubba Watson a great putter ever. But, here they are, winning the Masters. So Justin Rose has never putted the ball better. Every single thing that he needs to be in order is in order. So, if I had to go place a bet right now, I'd probably bet on Justin Rose to win the Masters.
Wow, there's a pick right there. Last guy, Brando, Jason Day.
Look, if it rains, he needs help. And if it rains, then the mistake that ordinarily is levied against his inaccuracy with his iron play is lessened. And it becomes, a little softer golf course. And actually it is softer, but it's softer on the mistake. He makes so many mistakes of just in his iron play. He just swings at it so hard that he doesn't have the nuances. And he just, he doesn't work the ball left to right or right to left or high or low. He's a brilliant putter and he's got plenty of power and he's got confidence to spare, but he needs a soft golf course to win there.
And that could happen.
It could absolutely happen. And as we sit here, he's 12th in the world. So, I always say if not them, then who? It becomes a matter of who's going to beat them. And, you're not looking for, you go down the list and you're like, well, every other player not ranked as high as him has holes in their game as well. But, amongst those players that are ranked ahead of him, most of them have more control over their iron play than Jason Day does. And that is almost everything at Augusta National, is how well you hit your iron shots.
What about Justin Thomas? He's never really played that great, never had great finishes.
He's only played twice there. So, it's still early in his career. It's like he had never played that well at the match play either.
Right.
He only played a couple of times there. Justin Thomas reminds me in so many ways of Johnny Miller. His ability to go low, his ability to shoot low scores, his success at a young age, just everything about him. But he needs better speed on the greens. He hasn't shown an ability to putt well there. Just in general, he needs a little better speed on the greens. and he needs to avoid, big numbers. He's, if you're going to win at Augusta National, you can almost, if you make double bogey at Augusta National, you almost have zero chance of winning. I mean, if you make one double bogey,
sure.
And it's not just the arithmetic. It's what the double bogey says about you. It says that you're out of position, you're prone to being out of position, and it says that you're making bad mistakes of judgment coming into greens. It says that your short game's not stellar. You can go all the way back to 1997. So over 20 majors, over 20 Masters, and there's only ever been, by the winner, going all the way back to 1997, there's only been 3 players that have ever made a double bogey that have gone on to win. And they've only made one each. So, I mean,
that's a great stat.
You just don't, and they were, Jordan Spieth made a double bogey in 2015, won when he won there. Trevor Immelman made a double bogey late on Sunday when he had about a 7-shot lead. And Phil Mickelson in 2004 made a double bogey. But, Woods